So I think it's important just from the outset of this video to declare neutrality in the issue of Gina Carano. I don't want this video to be viewed as a pro or anti Gina Carano video, and I don't want it to spill over into the comments for there to be a debate between people who support her and people who attack her. I simply want to talk about the situation as it is, as a whole, and what could possibly happen if, there is a chance that she could be rehired as Cara Dune. Again, my personal feelings I make well known on Twitter, which is where I keep it. This channel is purely for Star Wars news and theories and, my opinions on Star Wars. Not necessarily on real life subjects. So, if you want to know my personal feelings, feel free to go and follow me over on Twitter. Right now, I just want to talk about what's going on with Gina Carano and what we could possibly see if, she does somehow manage to get put back into that role, which I will say at this point I think is very, very unlikely. It's one thing to, try and make amends with the company that had previously hired you to try and get rehired. It's another thing entirely to sue them to try and get them to rehire you. But let's just talk very quickly about the situation as a whole. If you're a Star Wars fan, you, I'm pretty certain, know Gina Carano as Cara Dune. First 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, she played that character, a character I very much enjoyed. I thought that it was, a really interesting element that was added into the show. She brought a dynamic that complemented The Mandalorian really well. She was kind of this tough rebel, dropper who also had a bit of a soft side. And yes, we didn't get to see that much of her, but I would have liked to have seen more. I'd have liked to have seen where the character went. And I thought that, Gina Carano did a good job of portraying the character. Now, in the immediate aftermath of Season 2, or I can't remember if it was the aftermath of Season 2 or the build-up, but it was in 2021. She made several comments online that were viewed as controversial. And again, that's going to be up to debate for you to determine. She made comments about mask wearing. She made allegations of fraud in the 2020 election. And she made some posts that could have easily been construed as being anti-Semitic and transphobic. And Disney decided that these were damaging the brand. And so eventually they decided to not renew her contract. Now, according to her own lawsuit, what she has actually put forward, Disney did try to make amends. They tried to have her meet with GLAAD, the LGBTQ charity. She refused. They tried to have her meet with LGBTQ employees to try and, build up some kind of a repertoire there. Again, she refused. And this is all from, her own deposition here. This is all from her own lawsuit. So this is from Gina herself. And so they decided at that point that, she was not to be taken on for any further shows. And again, from there, we know that there was a lot of controversy. She didn't take it very well, and it got very, very public and very messy. So the prospects of her coming back looked extremely slim. And over the last 24 hours, it's been revealed that she's now suing Disney for discrimination. One of the things that she wants is $75,000 plus punitive damages, but there's also a court order in there to have her rehired into the role of Cara Dune, which, again, she was supposed to be a character in season 3 of The Mandalorian. She was supposed to be in the Rangers of the New Republic show that we know has since kind of been scrapped. And there's no doubt that she probably would have been involved in the Mandalorian movie that's set to film later this year. And yes, you could certainly say that she had a fairly bright future if things had not deteriorated the way they did. Now, she's also making claims about, bullying, about Disney itself. And again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but that's kind of setting the stage for what happened and where we are now. So Gina has filed this lawsuit, and I want to kind of just explore the possibilities here. Now, the most likely outcome, I think, that most people would recognise is that this will be settled in some way, shape or form, whether it be outside of court, through a financial settlement, or through the courts directly. I personally can't see how the courts can force Disney to rehire her. I don't necessarily think that's a realistic prospect. I also don't think it's something that would be very desirable if it was me. If I was in Gina Carano's position and I had a company that I used to work for that I felt had wronged me, I don't think I would necessarily be seeking out the opportunity to work for them again. Because, especially being an actor, there's every chance that they could cast you back into the role to just kill you off, or to do a complete 180 with the character and turn it into something that you despise. I can understand wanting punitive damages. I can understand, wanting to sue them for lost income, whether it's right or wrong in anyone's mind. But the idea of trying to get them to rehire you after the relationship has deteriorated so much, I don't see the logic. I certainly don't see how there could be a trust on either side there. But again, who knows? I kind of want to discuss what the possibilities could be if she does get rehired. So let's say, for example, in a theoretical scenario, her court case is successful and Disney is forced to recast her into The Mandalorian. And let's say that she's put into the Mandalorian movie that's coming up later this year. And again, this is all theoretical. Firstly, there's a few different scenarios. We obviously get her back as the character for a very, very small part of the movie, and she could just be killed off. She could just be used to be cannon fodder. That's one potential scenario. The second potential scenario is that she's reintroduced and the character is completely different. It could be something that they have, defanged the character as to make the character less relatable to the audience, and thereby, demeaning the relationship and making it so that fans might not necessarily want to see Cara Dune again. And obviously the third option is that she just comes back as was with original plans. She's a marshal, she's, member of the New Republic, and she plays the role as it was. I think they're the three most realistic scenarios in an unrealistic outcome. I still think that there's no chance in hell that Disney would firstly be forced to recast her, or even if there was some kind of reconciliation, would voluntarily recast her at this point. I think the damage is done, the bridges are burnt. So that is the scenario at the moment with Gina Carano and Cara Dune. Like I say, it's kind of an unfortunate situation. I don't think anyone would have wanted it to go this way. And again, this kind of has all come about from personal opinions, and I think there's a lesson to be learned on both sides here about, how you handle your business. Whether there's been any fault on... This is Zuko, by the way, my cat, for anyone who's not familiar. There's a lesson about, how you conduct yourself as a representative of a brand. And then there could also be lessons about how the brand can handle its dealings of someone who, they don't necessarily match up with the beliefs politically. But I think at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where it's going to go to court. That's where it has to remain. And nothing that anyone here says or does is going to change that. I don't think any of our political beliefs, whether we agree or disagree with Gina Carano, is going to matter. I just hope it doesn't serve to once again drive another wedge into a certain portion of the fan base. I think most of us, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, would agree that Cara Dune was a good character, and we would have liked to have seen that character continue on. But again, circumstances are what they are, and so that's that. So yes, I just thought it'd be interesting to have a quick talk and just kind of theorize on what would happen if she was to come back. But again, I'd very much like the comments to be as neutral as possible. I don't want to turn this into a debate about the politics of the situation, but I'd like to know your thoughts on the character of Cara Dune. What you would like to see happen to the character. In all scenarios, whether Gina Carano is not coming back, whether she was to come back, how would you like it to be handled? I'd be very interested to see your thoughts on that. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.